Hi students, so today we are going to discuss the second part of the polynomial chapter. We are discussing the MCQs which are important from the point of view of the 2026 CBSE board examination. In today's class, the questions are a little bit more trickier and they surely will help you in understanding the topic in a better way. So let's jump to the first question. So the first question is, if f of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c has no real zeros and a plus b plus c is greater than 0, then options are a, c is equal to 0, b, c is less than 0, c, c is greater than 0, or d, none of these. So basically it has been given that this polynomial has no real zeros and the sum of the coefficients is greater than 0, then we have to tell about the sign of the constant term. Okay, so the most important thing in this question is has no real zeros. Has no real zeros. So this polynomial has no real zeros and it's a quadratic polynomial. So the most important thing is it's a quadratic polynomial. So we know the graph of a quadratic polynomial is basically it's a parabola. It may be opening upwards or opening downwards. And the point where it cuts the x-axis are the zeros of this polynomial. But the question says that this polynomial has no real zeros. It means the parabola is not cutting the x-axis. It means it is either totally above the x-axis or totally below the x-axis. And if it is above the x-axis, then it is opening upwards, and if it is below the x-axis, then it is opening downwards. So whether this is opening upwards or downwards, that we can find out from the coefficient sign of the coefficient of x square. Now one more information is given that a plus b plus c is greater than 0. Now what is a plus b plus c? If I replace x by 1 in this equation, then I will get f of 1 is equal to a times 1 square plus b times 1 plus c. So that is a plus b plus c. It means f of 1, that is the value of this quadratic polynomial at x is equal to 1, is greater than 0. We know from this equation that this is greater than 0, means f of 1 is greater than 0. So we got that there is, if this is 1, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So f of 1 means there is some value which is positive. And the graph has no real zeros. So this is possible only if the parabola is opening upwards. If it would be opening downwards, then at some place it will cross x-axis, and in that case it will have real zeros. So that's not the possibility. So the parabola is opening upwards and it is not crossing x-axis. So what will be the sign of the c? What is c? If we find out f of 0, so we will see a times 0 square plus b times 0 plus c. So f of 0 is c. Now all the values of this polynomial at any value of x is positive because f of 1 is positive. So c will also be positive. So our answer will be c. That is, the constant term is positive. I hope this would be clear. So what we did? First of all, we analyzed that this is a quadratic polynomial, so its shape will be parabola. Now it has no real zeros. It means the parabola is either totally above x-axis or totally below x-axis. Now for whether it is above x-axis or below x-axis, we got that. We found out f of 1, that is a plus b plus c, and in the question it is given that a plus b plus c is greater than 0. So we got that one value of this polynomial is positive and it has no real zeros. It means all the values of this polynomial will be positive. Now we got that c. We have to find out the value of c, whether it is positive, negative or 0. So we got that f of 0 is c. So f of 0 will also be positive. So c will be also positive. So our answer is c. Option C. Now moving to the next question. if one root of the polynomial f of x is equal to 5x square plus 13x plus k is reciprocal of the other, then the value of k is, the options are given. So it is given that one root of the polynomial is reciprocal of the other. So if we assume that alpha is the one root, so the other root will be 1 by alpha, reciprocal of that, so their product will be 1. Alpha will cancel out. So we will use this concept to find out the value of k. As we know, the product of the roots from the equation is c by a, means constant term divided by the coefficient of x square. So that will be k by 5 c by a, and this is this will be equal to 1 because the roots are reciprocal of each other. So we found out its product will be 1. So from here, if we cross multiply, we are getting that k is 5. So option B will be our answer. Now the third question, it is saying what should be added to the polynomial x square minus 5x plus 4 so that 3 is the 0 of the polynomial. So first of all, what is 0 of any polynomial? 0 of any polynomial is the value of x at which the value of the polynomial turns into 0. So it is given that 3 is the 0 of the polynomial. It means f of 3 should be equal to 0. Now what is f of 3? F of x is x square minus 5x plus 4. So f of 3 will be, we will replace x by 3. So that will be 3 square minus 5 into 3 plus 4. So 3 square is 9 minus 5 into 3 is 15 plus 4. So it means 9 plus 4 13 minus 15 is equal to minus 2. So f of 3 is minus 2. F of 3 is minus 2. But it is given that what should be added to this so that 3 is the 0 of the polynomial. So if f of 3 should be 0 of the polynomial, means f of 3 should be 0. But we are getting that f of 3 is minus 2. So what should be added? So if I add 2 in this equation, so f of 3 will become 0. It means our answer will be B, that is 2. So let's quickly go through this question once more. It is saying that what should be added to this polynomial to make 3 as the 0 of the polynomial. So if we find out the value of this polynomial at 3, means f of 3, so we are getting that it is minus 2. So f of 3 is minus 2. But to make 3 the 0 of this polynomial, f of 3 should be 0. So if f of 3 of this polynomial is minus 2, so if we add 2 to this equation, so f of 3 will become 0. So the quantity which should be added to this polynomial so that 3 is the 0 of the polynomial is 2. Now fourth question, a quadratic polynomial, the sum of whose zeros is 0 and 1 0 is 3. So 1 0 of the we know quadratic polynomial has maximum 2 zeros. So sum of the zeros is 0 and 1 0 is 3. So if sum of zeros is 0 and 1 0 is 3, it means other zeros should be minus 3. Now we know if the roots are known, then we can write the polynomial as x square minus sum of roots times x plus product of roots. So x square, and it is already given that the sum of zeros is 0, so 0 times x plus product of the roots. 1 0 is 3 and we found out the other 0 is minus 3, so we can write x square minus 9. So a quadratic polynomial, the sum of zeros is 0 and 1 0 is 3 is x square minus 9. Now fifth question, it is an interesting question. There is a graph given of the polynomial f of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. Then we have to tell the sign of each of the coefficients of x square, x and the constant. Now if we analyze, this graph is opening upwards, this parabola is opening upwards. So whether the parabola is opening upwards or downwards, we know this by the sign of A. So if A is positive, then the parabola will be opening upwards, and if A is negative, then parabola will be opening downwards. So from here I know that A is positive. Now we have to find out the sign of B. So if we see, the zeros of this polynomial is the point where the parabola is crossing x-axis, and if we see, both the zeros are on the positive side of x-axis. It means the sum of the zeros will be positive. Sum of the roots are positive, and sum of the roots are given by minus b by a. So minus b by a is greater than 0, and a is greater than 0. Minus b by a is greater than 0, and a is greater than 0. So if a is positive and minus b by a is positive, it means minus b should also be positive. So if minus b is positive, means b should be less than 0. So from here we know that b is negative. Now as both the roots are positive, so their product will also be positive. It means product of the roots is given by c by a is greater than 0. And we already know that a is greater than 0. This implies that c should also be greater than 0, because the ratio of two quantities are positive and one of them is positive. So the ratio of two quantities are positive, then either both are positive or both are negative. So if a is positive, then c also has to be positive. So c is also positive. So a is positive, b is less than 0, and c is also greater than 0. So the option A will be our answer. So I hope you would have enjoyed this session, because maths is not only about solving calculations, it is about the reasoning and understanding the concepts. So thank you, and if you have any doubts, just drop me a message in the comments. I will try to answer that. Thank you.